my apartment's not become a good place to record. These dogs have been going for hours and I can't put filming off anymore today. Hello, cuties. Today we're gonna do a little bit of a look back on Q1. We're gonna look at some reading stats. We're gonna look at some progressions of work I've been doing and all the fun stuff. That is my life. Basically, here's all the reasons I don't have a social life. I made a little presentation for you all. I hope you enjoy it. And without further ado, here is QWERTY's Q1 check-in, going over all the fun stuff. Woo! Okay, we're gonna look at some reading stats. I read a total of 61 books in Q1. 19 of those were in January, 20 of those were in February, and 22 were in March. What's funny is this does follow the trend from last year. I tend to read the most in March for some reason, and like the least in January. I don't know, it's probably because I'm just chilling at the beginning of the year. But in total, that means we read 23,048 pages. And because I'm a big audiobook listener, that equals about 392 hours of audiobooks listened. I love audiobooks. Audiobooks are reading. Shut up if you disagree, because you're wrong. I've got science to back it up. You just have stupid opinions. Next up, the averages. So here are the averages per each month. So our best reading month, as you can see on here, was March with an average of 4.2 star rating. February being the least, but only being a 3.9, and January being exactly a 4.0. Average page count per book was 367.21 in January, 362 in February, and 401.41 pages in March. I read chunky books in March. I read at least 2 that were over 600 to 700 pages long. So big ones. On average per day in January, I read about 225 pages. In February, 259 pages. And in March, 296 pages. So in January, it took me about 1.63 days to finish a book. In February, 1.45 days to finish a book. And in March, 1.41 days to finish a book. So you can see the reading faster. Obviously, that comes through with how many books I read. But I'm getting faster, and soon I will be reading at the speed of light! Let's look at some distributions of the stats. No surprise that I predominantly read audio. 52.5% of the books that I consumed were audiobooks. Big surprise is how many ebooks I did. 19.7% were ebooks. Granted, this is my first year being in the NetGalley Arcland, and all of those are ebooks. I don't know how other booktubers get sent books by publishers, but I would like to be one. Surprisingly, the least I read was hardcovers. 4.9% were hardcover. And then 23% were paperbacks. And in our distribution of target audiences, this is not a surprise. I literally read 1 middle grade book, so it's 1.6% here. But I read more adult. 50.8% were adult, 47.5% were YA. Now, it's becoming very clear to me that my tastes are changing. I am leaning more into reading adult books. Granted, a lot of my favorite authors who started as YA authors have moved into writing adult, so I'm kind of like growing with the authors that I love in a way. It doesn't necessarily mean that I enjoy adult more than YA. I still like them both pretty equally now. I used to be hardcore YA only because I get annoyed with certain things that are in adult books, but I'm able now to find more adult books that are to my taste. But I'm also finding a lot of adult books that are still not to my taste. Next up, we've got our star ratings. I'm a 4-star giver. That is not a surprise to anyone. 24 books I read were 4 stars. That's kind of I really enjoyed this book, but it wasn't like, it didn't blow me out of the water, but I had a really good time. It takes a bit more to become a 5-star book, but we did read 14 5 stars. It's the 3 stars are where it's like, the book is fine, but not for me. That's how I rate it. 2 is like I was offended by something. 1 is this book should be destroyed and should have never been written. That's how I kind of align my reading. So on average, I'm gonna read 4 stars. No surprise that fantasy was the biggest of the biggest, and I did read sci-fi and horror were actually the next 2 that were up there. Pretty surprised by that. But I've also got a challenge for myself to read more horror this year. It's part of my bingo award. And then I read more romance, and then followed by contemporary and historicals with only 1 magical realism, 1 nonfiction, and 2 classics. Here are the 5-star reads that I read this year in case anybody wants to check them out. They're beautiful, but we read Heartstopper Volume 5, A Fragile Enchantment, A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon, My Imaginary Mary, Unmasked by Kendra Merritt, this is an indie book, Defiant by Brando Sando, The Warm Hands of Ghosts by Catherine Arden, The Girl with 7 Names by Hyung-So Lee, A Story Spun in Scarlet by R. Dugan, this is another indie, fantastic, this was one of the chunky ones, Fragile Threads of Power by V.E. Schwab, Bonds of Brass by Emily Skrutsky, Wolf Song by T.J. Klune, The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana, The Circus Infamant by Kan Wong, and A Thief in the Night by... Oh, that's why. You shouldn't be in there. I shouldn't actually have included A Thief in the Night. This is by K.J. Charles. So I really should only have 14 on here, but I included it because I read it like right away. It's technically a quarter 2 book, so just ignore that. There were 14 5-stars. That's why I confused myself. More distributions. All right. I predominantly read novels. This is not a surprise. I read 1 novella and 1 graphic novel. That's it. That's it for these. For the author status, I read predominantly repeat authors. So 49.2% were repeat authors, 8.2% were debut authors, and then 42.6% were authors that were new to me. And for my series, we have that I did complete 9.8%. I think I completed like 6 series, like fully complete. And then up to publication, 13.1% are done there. I think I'm up to publication on like 13 more just in this quarter. I'm in progress, 34.4%. A lot of ones are in progress. And then I read a bunch of standalones. 37.7% of the books I read this month were standalones. And I DNF'd 4.9% of my series, because I don't DNF books. But series I do give up on. I think I gave up on 3. That I'm just like, no. For publication and acquisition, these are my publications. I predominantly read books that were published between 2015 and 2019. 14 of them were, but I also read 12 that were published in 2024. And that is likely because I'm getting a lot of ebook arcs now. There were 8 published in 2023, 9 published in 2022, 3 in 2021, also in 2020, 2 2010 to 2014, and so on and so forth. 4 from the 1990s, and I guarantee you, those were all the Tamora Pierces I read. And then 1 that was old AF. For my acquisition year, predominantly reading books that I read last year, 22 of them. 15 of them were acquired this year. Again, most of these are the ebook arcs that I got. 13 of them were from 2022. 2 of them were 2021. 3 were from 2020. 5 were from 2019. I didn't read any from my 2018 or 2017s. And I finally read the oldest book on my shelf, which was Heartless by Marissa Meyer. I acquired that in 2016. And we're done with 2016 now. Now my oldest book is from 2017. I don't know which one it is though. For representation, this side over here is my queer representation. So sadly, 51.8% of the books I picked up did not have any queer representation that was at least canonical. 26.8% though had the main character as someone of the queer family. I don't know what word I was trying to think of there, but the queer family. Side characters, there were 14.3% had side characters that were queer, and 7.1% at least mentioned there was a queer character. And then for disability, 57.4% did not conclude any disabled characters. 29.5% of the ones I read had a main character with some form of disability. 8.2% had a side character, and 4.9% had a character mentioned that had a disability. So would I like this number to go, these numbers on both sides to go up? Yes. I'm looking for more. But sometimes it's just not what is being published.
And for those of you curious about all the books that I acquired in Q1, these are all of them. I'll go over them one by one. I would like to say that most of these, because of my game, either won in my game or were done through Pango Books, because I have a lot of those I sell on Pango. Here's some of the books I have on Pango right there. Or I won in my book spree, or were gifted to me. That's how I acquired these. There are 34, which is the best I've ever done within 3 months. So here they are, one by one. Any Old Diamonds by K.J. Charles. I am currently reading this. The Fall That Saved Us by Tamara Jarry. I have read this. Lioness Rampant by Tamora Pierce. I have read this. Boy Snow Bird by Helen Oyeyemi. I have not read this yet. And The Sun Goeth Down by Terry Mark. I have not read this yet. The Boy with the Horns by Kay Anderson. I have not read this yet. Every Heart a Doorway by Shauna Maguire. I have not read it yet. House of Marion by J.L. Haven't read it yet. A Demon's Guide to Wooing a Witch by Sarah Hawley. Haven't read it yet. Castle of Wizardry and Magician's Gambit by David Eddings. Haven't read them yet. A Fragile Enchantment by Allison Saft. I have read this. The City of Stardust by Georgia Summers. I have not read yet. Phantom and Rook by Alina Isaacs. I haven't read yet. Pirates of Eleutheria by Brittany Jackson. I have not read it yet. The Wedding Crasher by Mia Sosa. Have not read it yet. Bonds of Brass by Emily Scruzzi. I have indeed read it. The Perfect Crimes of Marion Hayes by Kat Sebastian. I have not read it yet. You're a Mean One, Matthew Prince by Timothy Janofsky. Have not read it yet. Artemis Fowl, The Arctic Incident by Ian Coffer. Have not read it yet. Stone Blind by Natalie Haynes. I have not read it yet. Sanctuary of Shadow by Aurora Asher. I have not read it yet. Woman of Light by Callie Fajardo-Anstine. I have indeed read this. Mountains Made of Glass by Scarlett St. Clair. I am reading this right now. Slewfoot by Brom. I have not read it yet. The Crimson Moth, otherwise known as Heartless Hunter by Kristen Ciccarelli. I have not read it yet. Ooh. A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. I have not read it yet, but I'm about to. Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. I have not read it yet. Noni and the God Tree by Brescia Anglin. I hope that's how you say your name correctly. Have not read it yet. The Circus Infinite by Con Wong. I have indeed read it. And finally, A Story Spun in Scarlet by R. Dugan. I have indeed read this beautiful, beautiful book.
Let's talk about my author progress. Woo! I've been really bad, actually. Let's be honest. The audiobook for Memory of the Hoopaway is 45% complete. If you can tell by the audio of this video, there's a reason why it's only 45% complete. It's really hard to find a time. These dogs aren't howling. For Hisphacac 2, right here, oh yeah, right here we go. Hisphacac 2, I am still working on the outline. It is actually giving me so much trouble. Hisphacac 1 was so easy to write, but this sequel is, I'm really struggling with how I want it to unfold, so I'm still working on that. For Sweet Pay and Sniffly, we have written 21,480 words. Technically, we wrote more, and then I deleted a bunch. So this is like of the draft that I currently have. So I've probably written like 30,000 words, but then I restarted it again. I'm having a time in my writing where I can't just like sit and then let it and just continue and let it go. I keep going, no, I don't want it to go like this anymore. I don't know. Same with Acing It. Like, Acing It is probably like 75% technically done with the draft, but I'm restructuring it. We're restructuring that. And then I had a new idea for a book, and I decided to put that on here. And this is what I'm calling Ogre and Bookworm right now. I'm currently outlining and world building and character building with it right now. I've written a little bit just because I really wanted to, but I found, once again, the outline I have, I'm like, no, you know what? I don't like this anymore. I want to do it this way instead. So that's where I am. I'm having like, it's not really writer's block, but it's like writer's decision paralysis is what I'm having right now, because I have these ideas and I want to be writing them, but I'm struggling to make the decision of how it should go. That's my problem right now. Anyone else relate to that? That's my current problem. Hopefully that will clear up in the next. Other author projects with the short stories. We did release 2 more of the short stories from 2022. Love and Subscribe and Your Package Has Arrived are both there. So this was the contemporary. This was supposed to be horror or thriller. I don't know. It's more thriller, I think. And then the others are still in progress. So our speculative and our dystopian are really just pending their cover art. The edits are pretty much done. I still need to do some formatting work as well. The nonfiction is currently in edits, and then I need to do, so the in edits is with Lena, who's looking them over for me. The adventure and the final horror thriller are still pending my edits before I send them to Lena. But hopefully that will be done soon. And then of course releasing that lovely anthology. So what are the goals for for quarter 2? We have finishing those short story edits, finalizing some freaking outlines, just finishing one draft. One draft of something, not being specific, because I've been very bouncy with my books right now. Finish the Memory of the Hoop Away audiobook, create my new website that I keep saying I'm going to do. I would like to reach some new social media goals, some follower counts and stuff. I've noticed certain ones are growing faster than others. I would love to see my YouTube grow a little bit more. I still have a lot of people that were like from my Japan days that just never unsubscribed. So I can't really gauge my audience very well, or like my reach very well, so that's a struggle. And then I just want to take a real vacation. I really need a real one. All the vacation time that I keep taking is for like conventions, so it's not vacation. That's what I want to do. I need a break. I need a break. But that's pretty much it. That's the end. You can follow me on all these social medias. For anyone wondering, like, I have Ko-fi.com. You can do one-off donations if you liked anything that I've done recently. It's like a $3 base donation. Or you can subscribe, just like Ko-fi. When you subscribe, you do get early access to pretty much everything that I'm putting out, including all of my video releases. You will get those. If you do a one-off, you get early access for like 30 days, I think. I don't know, Ko-fi's weird. I thought it was like 3 months, but now it might be 30 days. They keep changing things. But I really appreciate anyone who can help support. Like I said, you can do a base subscription. There's no tiers or anything. You can do it whatever you want. So if you want to just donate $3 a month to me, that's wonderful. Thank you very much. I think that's like the base of Ko-fi is $3. But I really appreciate it. I would love to you know, further myself into the book reviewer world and really make this, you know, my thing. As much as I enjoy my day job and the benefits it provides me, it's not my passion. You can also follow me on TikTok. It's Stephanie and Mambo, as long as it's still around. And on Instagram and Twitch are both QWERTYQ. They're not QWERTYQ, just for anyone reference. It's QWERTY. QWERTYQ, because somebody took QWERTY from me. And if you want to subscribe to my newsletter, it is currently open. You can go to my old website, ashportarchives.com, and just click join the newsletter, and you can sign up there. You'll get just a monthly newsletter, unless there's like a super special announcement. But for the most part, I post one a month, so I'm not bombarding you with a horrendous amount of emails. But yeah, it's just one a month. It's a recap. You'd see a lot of cool, fun stuff. A lot of secret, exclusive Mambo pictures. You know, subscribe to her OnlyFans. Just kidding. Yeah, that's it. That's where we stand for quarter 1. I'm both like feeling accomplished and not. I feel very accomplished reading-wise, even though this year was not supposed to be a reading year, but it really has been. But I'm in the midst of many more projects right now. I'm hoping to get more out there, really get back on track with writing. I just been in that weird decision paralysis with them and keep hopping. Probably need to go get myself an official diagnosis and some medication to assist with the focus aspect of things. You know, good times. Go, no doubt. All right, well, how did your guys' quarter 1 go? Let me know in the comments, and I will see you next time, cuties. Bye.
For those of you curious about all the books that I acquired in quarter 1, oh god.
Hitting the button, and of course the camera goes out of focus. Love that for me. Already yawning. Great. Stop yawning. Oh my god, I'm so tired. Just stop yawning. All you have to do is stop yawning. And all these dogs have to do is stop howling. But they will not. On average per day, I was reading 225 books. Yeah, right. 1.41. No, I said all this wrong. And then, yeah, you stop.